for saying yes to the Washington, D.C. Jazz Oral History Project. You know, of course, that Dr. Sandra Butler Truesdale is the founder and the director of DC Legendary Musicians, and so they are the lead partner
Right.
on this project. And she is the co-author of the forthcoming book, Washington, D.C. Jazz. So, again, we've acknowledged everyone,
Right.
and now we want to focus on your career. I have a series of questions here. It's not a long list. And for previous interviews, it's taken us about 30 minutes to go through all of this, but you don't need to rush.
Okay.
You know, if you have an incredible testimony you want to share with the world, certainly we're happy to record that today. But we do like to get started just by asking people to state their names and also the name of the group or the institution that they're affiliated with.
Well, I'm Aaron Myers. I am a entertainer, primarily a jazz vocalist, but I'm really affiliated with myself. I usually act as the headliner with the supporting band behind me.
Wonderful. And how long have you worked as a professional musician?
I would say since I was 13 years. 13 years, I'd say.
Okay.
As, 13 years as far as professional, and looking at doing it for a living. Now, I have played for a church. I've been a minister of music at a church now, of some sort for 20 years. So I've done, if you say playing professionally, as far as being a minister of music, 20 years, as doing, you know, all the music that I've wanted to do and the type of entertainment I've wanted to do, it's been 13.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're a vocalist and you play.
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard a little bit of that
Yeah.
as I was coming into
Yes.
this space. But would you say that your voice is your primary instrument?
Now it is. It did not start out that way.
Uh-huh.
I started out primarily as a pianist and an organist, of course. You have to be able to float between. And I had an accident in 2008 that forced me, I was not able to play for over a year, which forced me to have to sing more than I would normally have been doing. And after doing that, I just went ahead and said, well, I'll just go ahead. And I've sung before, mind you, but I said, why not? Just go ahead and just knock it out and do that. And I don't have the longevity on the piano as I once did, being able to, you know, play out of full service. I primarily, if I'm playing for a church, I play Hammond B3 or an organ. If I do a jazz gig, I usually will hire a pianist to help me so that I will be able to last throughout the whole thing. Of course, I can still perform solo, about a 3-hour show by myself. I can still do that. So. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So multi-talented, multi-instrumentalist, vocal
Yes.
and keyboard.
Yes.
Are there other instruments as well?
Well, at organ, I played drums a little bit. I started out with sax when I was in school, so I played, you know, alto, tenor, baritone, saxophone. So,
Okay.
yeah, just a few.
Okay, wonderful. So can you tell me a little bit more about your early life? What are your parents' names?
My parents are Sandra Sanders Myers, or Sandra Myers Thomas now, and my father was Aaron L. Myers Sr., and we lost him in 2011 on July 26th.
Can you tell me please when and where you were born?
I was born July 27th, 1983 in Dallas, Texas at St. Paul Hospital. And Mother thought, that's funny, Mother thought that when she went there to have me, the nurses they kept clamoring around, it's gonna be okay, you'll be okay soon, whatever. She's like, yeah, just give me that epidural, I'll be fine. She said, oh no, this is a natural birth hospital. And so I was given birth naturally, and she did not go in knowing that was going to happen like that. And so she and I now have a very special relationship. You don't forget that.
Okay. And what schools did you attend in Texas?
In Texas, I attended Kearns ISD, Kearns Independent School District. And Kearns is unique. Kearns is, it was once a cotton capital, I guess you could say. I was raised in a sharecropping community, primarily black sharecropping community called Goodloe, Texas. At the time, the population was like 312. And Kearns was the center little town of about 1,700 people, but all of the little rural areas around there, they sent their children to school in Kearns. And so you had K through 12 on one campus. And many of the teachers who taught there had been teaching for 20, 30, 40 years. Me and my mom had many of the same teachers, and my family had been in that area since about 1860, 1870. And so we are very familiar with the landscape, the land, the people. You know, we have a rich history in that area, that part of Texas.
Mm-hmm. So do you come from a farming family, or
Yes.
is that just, oh, you do?
Yes, my grandfather was a farmer, sharecropper, and my mother, they picked cotton up until the 1970s. And, well, late 60s, early 70s. Now, Kearns integrated in 1966, and then the county seat, which is Navarre County, Corsicana, they integrated, I believe, in 1970. And so there was no really civil rights movement where I'm from. Mm-hmm. So there was a rich history of the black school, the segregation at the time. When you hear people, the older people talk about it, they talk about it a little bit more sometimes pleasingly, because they had their own stores, they have their own doctors, they have their own funeral homes, their own whatever they needed there in the community. The community seemed nicer, it was kept nicer, and then integration happened, and then everybody went up to the white stores and abandoned the black stores, and the white people never, of course, came down there. So that area is full of farmers and laborers. My grandmother also was not only a farmer's wife, she picked cotton, but she also was a maid. And so she kept the house of usually the people that they were the property that they were sharecropping on. And so, and then they got out of that, and Gramps went to work at the lumber yard. I think it was the late 60s, 68, 69. Mm-hmm. He went to work at the lumber yard, and then they went on from there. But you know, when you sharecrop for so long, you don't get certain benefits as you would get as you retire. And so my grandfather worked until he was 88. And he worked still in a laborer's type of position. He cleaned a washateria every night. He opened it, closed it, and cleaned it. He also would open and clean filling stations, gas stations that were around the area. And he also picked up cans, and we would pick up cans, and freshmen take them to the weight place to have those things. And we would sometimes go down to the creek. Sometimes people would throw, you know, stuff out. We'd get some things from there and then take it to the place where we could weigh it and see if we could get, for metal at least, see if we can make it. He did that till he was about 88, 89, and he died at 99. So he only enjoyed about 10 years of retirement, per se, and the last 2 years in ill health, but still mobile.
That is an incredibly rich history, and I hope somebody does the oral history for your family if they haven't done it already.
No, they've not done it.
This is a story I have not heard, and I've been asking questions for a very long time.
Yes,
so.
I got a chance to see, as a young person, my grandparents were usually the age of everyone else's great-grandparents. And because my mother was a single mom, she worked. So I saw mother when I got up for school, and I got to see her when she got off of work. And the biggest fear, when you're raised around older people, you're raised, not only raised around older people who have also old souls. So their friends tend to be 5, 10, 15 years older than them. So I became acquainted with death and acquainted with older things much earlier than anyone else. And since they were at this